Okay, sewing ruche trim part 2. So in order to ruche the inside of the brim of the hat, like this bonnet here, I first explained how to cut apart the pattern and then cut the fabric so that you are expanding the pattern so that you have room to gather this down. So I'll show you what I did. I ended up cutting a piece to mimic part of my regular brim piece. And on a sewing machine, I set it on the largest stitch length possible. So on my sewing machine, that was a stitch length number 5. And at the ends, left long threads, did not backstitch there at either end, either the beginning or the very end when I stopped, so that I could slide the fabric down the gathering stitch. And you can see here I started to do that. So you grab onto one of your threads and then you pull into the fabric, and this will help gather or ruche it down. The amount that you're gathering this down to make it look like that depends on how big you made that pattern piece. So if you expanded the pattern piece twice the size it originally was, then you're gathering it down back to its original size, so it'll be a 2 times gather. The density of these gathers is determined based on how much fabric you have there. But basically you can see that I'm getting the same idea from this ruched piece of fabric here that you would on this bonnet. This is obviously a much wider piece, and it has 1, 2, 3 gathering stitches across it. And then its seam allowances at either end, so it'd probably have another stitch here and here, so a total of 5 stitches across this piece. This one is much narrower because it was for the boater hat, and so I only put 2 gathering stitches in it. You always want to put more than 1 gather stitch as you're trying to ruche this down to help control it. Also, you can tell that these stitches are evenly placed, so you can draw a line on your pattern piece, or you can use the seam allowance on a sewing machine to help you guide. This I did about 1 inch from the edge so I could get them evenly spaced, but obviously on your own piece you'd want to evenly separate these gathering stitches to gather it down if you should want to do this ruched trim or ruched inner part of the brim.